Have you ever wondered why life keeps sending you the same painful people, the same disappointments, the same lessons wrapped in different faces? It's because life does not give you what you want, it gives you what you are. And the moment you finally love yourself, the entire universe shifts. New people walk in, old patterns fall apart, blessings that were blocked begin to flow, and everything you once chased starts chasing you. Today, you'll understand why the greatest transformation of your life begins the very moment you choose yourself. 1. The energy you carry becomes the life you attract. When you don't love yourself, even if you stay quiet and pretend everything is fine, you still send out a silent message to the world. This message isn't spoken in words. It is communicated through your energy, your behavior, your choices, and the way you allow others to treat you. When someone lacks self-love, they carry a vibration of insecurity, fear, and doubt. People around you can sense it instantly. They may not explain it, but they feel that you are unsure of your worth. They feel that you will tolerate disrespect, accept less than you deserve, and remain in situations that drain you because deep inside you haven't recognized your true value. But everything begins to change the moment self-love enters your heart. It may not happen all at once, but the shift is unmistakable. Your energy rises, your posture becomes stronger, and your voice carries more certainty. You stop chasing after people who don't appreciate you, and you stop apologizing for wanting respect. You shift from begging for attention to choosing where your attention goes. You no longer shrink yourself to fit into places that don't deserve you. Instead, you expand into who you really are. Life always mirrors the state of your inner world. When you value yourself, people begin to treat you with value. When you respect yourself, others naturally respond with respect. When your energy becomes grounded, confident, and steady, you attract opportunities, relationships, and experiences that match that frequency. This is why Buddhism teaches that your internal state creates your external reality. Change the energy you walk with, and you automatically change the kind of life that walks toward you. When you finally understand your worth, life starts sending you better people, better choices, and better outcomes, because you are no longer aligned with anything that does not honor who you are. 2. Self-love teaches you to walk away from what hurts you. Before you learn to love yourself, you often cling to things that damage your peace without even realizing it. You stay in friendships that drain you because you're afraid of being alone. You hold on to relationships that disrespect you because you hope they will change someday. You allow habits that destroy your focus because they give you a moment of comfort. You tolerate environments that make you feel small because you think you don't deserve better. All of this happens because deep down there is a fear of loss, the fear that if you let go, nothing better will come. But Buddhism teaches that clinging is the root of suffering. The more tightly you hold on to what hurts you, the more pain you create for yourself. And the more you hold on to something that is breaking you, the more you break yourself in the process. When self-love begins to grow inside you, something shifts. You start to notice how certain people drain your energy, how certain conversations make you feel heavy, how certain habits pull you away from the person you want to be. You become more honest with yourself about what brings peace and what brings chaos. You stop arguing with your intuition. You stop forcing connections that feel one-sided. You stop convincing yourself that pain is normal. Instead, you begin to protect yourself the way you once protected others. You learn that walking away is not a sign of weakness, it is a sign of wisdom. It is the moment you choose your well-being over your fear of losing someone. It is the moment you stop asking, "What if they leave?" and start asking, "What if they continue hurting me?" Self-love gives you the courage to release what no longer grows you. You no longer stay where you feel unseen, unheard, or unappreciated. You stop fighting for a place in people's lives who wouldn't even move an inch for you. You stop trying to fix people who have no desire to fix themselves. You stop giving endless chances to those who only take advantage of your kindness. And the moment you walk away from what drains you, life begins to open new doors. Suddenly, you find peace in your own company, clarity in your decisions, and strength in your boundaries. Better people appear, people who treat you with care, respect, and sincerity. Better opportunities arrive because your energy is no longer tied to the wrong things. Better experiences enter because you finally made space for them. This is the beauty of self-love. It doesn't just teach you what to hold on to, it teaches you what to release. And once you release what harms you, the universe naturally replaces it with what heals you. Walking away becomes a sacred act of self-respect, and life rewards you for having the courage to choose yourself. 3. You become magnetic when you choose yourself. Consistently, most people go through life waiting for someone else to choose them. They wait for a partner to validate them, for a friend to support them, for a family member to approve their decisions, or for society to tell them they are worthy. And because they are waiting to be chosen, they keep abandoning themselves. They say yes when they want to say no. They stay silent when they need to speak up. They shrink their personality to make others comfortable. They lower their standards out of fear of being left behind. All of this comes from a place of self-neglect, not self-love. But Buddhism teaches a powerful truth. The world responds when you choose yourself first. Life mirrors the way you treat yourself. If you treat yourself like an option, the world treats you like an option. If you treat yourself like a priority, the world aligns with that energy. Consistency is the real magic behind self-love. When you choose yourself once, it feels good. But when you choose yourself repeatedly day after day, decision after decision, your inner world begins to transform. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, your self-respect grows. Every time you show up for your goals, even when you feel tired or discouraged, your confidence strengthens. Every time you say no to something that drains you, you silently say yes to your own growth. And with every small act of loyalty toward yourself, your energy shifts. You no longer wait to be accepted. You accept yourself. You no longer chase validation. You validate yourself. You no longer wait for someone to save you. You become the one who takes responsibility for your life. This inner consistency creates a magnetic force around you. People start noticing the difference even before you say a word. They can feel your boundaries. They can feel your confidence. They can feel that you no longer tolerate half love, half effort, or half respect. They sense that you don't desperately seek approval anymore. Instead, your energy communicates, "I know who I am. I know what I deserve. I choose myself first." This calm self-assurance becomes deeply attractive. It radiates without trying, and people are naturally drawn to someone who knows their value and stands firmly in it. Opportunities also begin to move toward you. When you are committed to your growth, you attract paths that align with that growth. When you treat yourself with seriousness, your dreams begin to take you seriously. When you stop settling for crumbs, you begin attracting abundance. This is not magic, it is alignment. Your energy becomes a filter that protects you from what is not meant for you and connects you with what is. People who are insecure, manipulative, lazy, or insincere no longer feel comfortable around you because your self-love exposes their behavior. Meanwhile, people who appreciate growth, respect boundaries, and offer real connection feel drawn to you because your energy matches theirs. Choosing yourself consistently also teaches you patience and discipline. You stop making emotional decisions and start making intentional ones. You stop seeking quick fixes and start building real foundations. You stop allowing temporary comfort to destroy long-term peace. And with each decision that honors your future self, you become stronger, clearer, and more stable. You upgrade mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and the world upgrades with you. In Buddhism, your energy is your karma. What you continually choose becomes your destiny. When you repeatedly choose yourself, your peace, your worth, your growth, the universe begins rearranging everything around you to match that commitment. And that is when you become truly magnetic. Not because you are trying to attract anything, but because you have finally become aligned with who you are meant to be. 4. Loving yourself makes you unavailable for low-vibration people. Before you discover self-love, your life is often filled with people who reflect your wounds instead of your worth. You attract those who take advantage of your kindness because you don't know how to set boundaries. You tolerate inconsistency because you fear losing the little attention you receive. You explain yourself repeatedly to people who have no intention of understanding you. You carry relationships on your back, hoping they will finally appreciate you. You hear excuses instead of apologies, feel drained instead of supported, and mistake familiarity for love. All of this happens because your heart is operating from a place of emptiness, not empowerment. And emptiness attracts people who feed on it. You become a source of energy for those who give you nothing in return. You become a shelter for those who would never protect you. You become the emotional home of people who never plan to stay. But self-love changes your energetic frequency entirely. When you begin to love yourself, you start noticing the difference between people who genuinely care about you and those who only care about what they can get from you. Your intuition becomes sharper. Your heart becomes wiser. Your patience becomes selective. You no longer get excited by attention. You look for intention. You no longer get attached to words. You watch behavior. You no longer accept confusion. You demand clarity. And as your standards rise, your tolerance for low-vibration people naturally drops. Their behavior becomes loud. Their manipulation becomes obvious. Their emotional immaturity becomes tiring. Their inconsistency becomes unacceptable. You stop bending your boundaries just to keep them comfortable. You stop shrinking yourself to avoid conflict. You stop ignoring signs you once excused out of loneliness or fear. This shift is not anger, it is alignment. You are no longer on the same frequency as the people who drain you because self-love pulls you to a higher vibration. And low-vibration people cannot survive where you are going. People who thrive on chaos feel uncomfortable around your peace. People who use emotional manipulation feel powerless when you recognize your worth. People who depend on your insecurity cannot handle your confidence. People who only gave you half love cannot approach a heart that now expects full honesty, respect, and maturity. And naturally, without force or drama, you begin drifting away from the wrong people. They fall out of your life not because you hate them, but because you have outgrown them. You outgrow their lack of accountability, their ego-driven behavior, their emotional instability, and their inability to love you in the way you now love yourself. As you become unavailable for low-vibration people, you make room for higher quality connections. You attract people who speak with sincerity, not manipulation. People who match your effort and care. People who respect your boundaries instead of testing them. People who value your presence instead of taking it for granted. You enter relationships where communication is honest, energy is reciprocal, and intentions are pure. Without even trying, you begin to attract people who reflect the upgraded version of you because like energies attract. Buddhism teaches that the heart is a magnet. Whatever frequency you vibrate at is mirrored back to you through the people in your life. And when the frequency becomes self-love, only those who can honor that love remain. This transformation also teaches you emotional independence. You no longer need chaos to feel alive, validation to feel worthy, or company to feel safe. You become comfortable being alone because you like the person you are alone with. You stop depending on others to create happiness for you because you create it within yourself. And when you no longer need energy from outside, you become immune to those who once drained you. You see your past clearly. Those people were never bad. They were simply resonating at a lower vibration than you were destined for. Self-love didn't create distance. It revealed the distance that was always there. In the end, loving yourself doesn't just protect you from low-vibration people, it elevates the entire quality of your life. It removes what blocks your peace and replaces it with what nurtures your growth. It filters out those who were attracted to your wounds and brings in those who are attracted to your strength. And as this shift happens, you realize that losing low-vibration people was never a loss. It was a blessing disguised as emptiness, making space for the life you were always meant to live. 5. When you heal yourself, you stop repeating the same painful patterns. One of the hardest truths to accept in life is that we often recreate the same suffering again and again without realizing it. You meet the same type of person with a different face. You experience the same heartbreak with different timing. You fall into the same toxic habits, even after promising yourself you would change. You stay stuck in the same emotional loop, repeating the same mistakes, attracting the same wounds, and asking yourself, why does this keep happening to me? But Buddhism teaches that life is not punishing you, it is teaching you through repetition. The world keeps placing the same lesson in front of you until you finally heal the part of you that keeps choosing it. When you have unhealed wounds, your mind works from survival, not wisdom. You choose partners based on your old pain, not your future peace. You hold on to relationships that break you because your inner child fears abandonment. You repeat addictions, patterns, and behaviors that hurt you because they feel familiar. And the human heart often confuses familiarity with safety, even when that familiarity is destructive. So you keep accepting the same disrespect, the same neglect, the same emotional chaos, not because you want it, but because your wounded self believes that is the best you can get. Pain becomes a habit, trauma becomes a compass, and your life becomes a cycle instead of a journey. But the moment you begin to heal, the entire direction of your life shifts. Healing is not about pretending everything is fine. It is about facing the truth of your wounds with honesty. It is about sitting with your pain instead of hiding from it. It is about understanding why you react the way you do, why you chase certain people, why you fear certain endings, and why you accept certain behaviors. Healing requires courage because it forces you to confront the parts of yourself you once tried to escape. But in that confrontation, something powerful happens. You finally understand the root of your patterns. You see that the person who betrayed you was not the first person who made you feel unworthy. You realize that the partner who didn't choose you reminded you of someone long before them. You understand that the chaos you're attracted to is the chaos you grew up normalizing. When this awareness rises, your patterns lose their power. While healing, your self-love strengthens. You stop tolerating emotional inconsistency because you recognize it as a reflection of your past, not your future. You stop giving unlimited chances to people who drain you because your healed self understands your worth. You stop trying to fix people because you finally understand that healing is a personal responsibility, not a rescue mission. You no longer confuse intensity with love, silence with peace, or chaos with excitement. Your heart becomes wiser, your decisions become calmer, and your intuition becomes louder. Healing also brings emotional clarity. You stop blaming yourself for everything that went wrong, and you stop blaming others endlessly. You begin to see the bigger picture. The universe wasn't trying to break you, it was trying to wake you. Every painful pattern in your life was a mirror reflecting the parts of you that needed light, not judgment. When you heal, you take control of your life in a way you never could before. You stop repeating old cycles because you now have the awareness to break them. You stop choosing emotionally unavailable people because you no longer resonate with that version of yourself. You stop staying where your soul is suffocating because you finally know what true peace feels like. And this is when life begins sending you better things. When the wound heals, the pattern ends. When the pattern ends, your future opens. Suddenly, you attract people who treat you with respect, honesty, and understanding because you finally treat yourself that way. You make decisions that protect your future instead of repeating your past. You create boundaries, not out of fear, but out of self-respect. You start choosing environments that support your growth instead of ones that recreate your trauma. Healing becomes the bridge between who you were and who you are meant to be. In Buddhism, the idea is simple but profound. When the root is healed, the fruit changes. When you heal the hidden parts of yourself, your relationships change, your behavior changes, your energy changes, and your entire life changes. Healing is not about becoming a new person. It is about remembering who you were before the world wounded you. And once you heal, you stop repeating the painful chapters of your life because you finally understand that you are the one who turns the page. 6. Self-love creates a calm mind, and a calm mind makes better decisions. Most people don't realize how much damage a restless mind causes in their life. A restless mind makes you panic over small problems, overthink simple situations, doubt every decision you make, and imagine worst-case scenarios even when nothing is wrong. A restless mind makes you hold on to people who hurt you because you fear being alone. It makes you chase things that are running from you because you fear not being chosen. It makes you settle for less because you fear failure. The truth is, when you don't love yourself, your mind becomes your biggest enemy. It attacks you with fear. It confuses you with doubt. It blinds you from opportunities that are right in front of you because your thoughts are too loud to listen to your intuition. In Buddhism, this restless state is called the monkey mind, always jumping, always worrying, always imagining danger even where none exists. And a mind like this destroys more dreams than any external problem ever could. But something powerful happens when self-love enters your life. Your mind begins to slow down, soften, and settle. Not overnight, not instantly, but gradually, like a storm losing its strength. Self-love gives you the ability to understand your thoughts instead of believing every one of them. You start seeing your overthinking patterns more clearly. You notice when your mind is reacting from fear instead of truth. You realize when your anxiety is lying to you. You become aware of how often your mind invents problems that do not exist. This awareness is not just mental, it is emotional. It calms your nervous system. It reduces the chaos inside you. You begin to feel safer within yourself. And feeling safe within yourself is one of the greatest gifts of self-love, because once you feel safe inside, the outside world loses its power to control you. A calm mind changes the way you make decisions. Instead of reacting impulsively, you respond thoughtfully. Instead of running toward anything that gives temporary comfort, you choose what brings long-term peace. Instead of getting trapped in drama or emotional chaos, you step back and observe the situation. You stop letting your emotions drive your life, and you start letting your wisdom lead instead. Suddenly, you don't chase people who confuse you. You don't argue to prove your worth. You don't make decisions from fear, loneliness, or insecurity. You stop forcing outcomes. You stop rushing timelines. You stop sabotaging your progress. A calm mind naturally creates a stable life. Self-love also teaches you to protect your mental space. You stop entertaining meaningless arguments, unnecessary comparisons, negative conversations, and toxic people who disturb your inner peace. You become selective about who you allow into your emotional world. You start recognizing how much your surroundings influence your mood. You realize that peace is not just something you feel, it is something you create through your choices. When you prioritize your peace, you no longer allow people to manipulate your emotions. You no longer carry others' burdens as if they are your own. You stop seeking validation from people who don't understand you. You stop explaining yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you. This protects your energy, and when your energy is protected, your mind remains calm. A calm mind also improves your self-awareness. When you love yourself, you spend more time understanding your emotions, why you feel triggered, why you get anxious, why certain patterns repeat. Instead of judging your emotions, you learn to observe them without fear. You give yourself the space to breathe, to process, and to respond with clarity. You begin to understand your strengths, your weaknesses, your limits, and your boundaries. And this understanding becomes the foundation for wise decision-making. Every choice you make from self-awareness is cleaner, quieter, and far more accurate than any decision made in panic or fear. In Buddhism, a calm mind is considered the highest form of strength because clarity leads to right action. When the mind is peaceful, your path becomes clearer. You see opportunities you once missed. You listen to your intuition more deeply. You trust yourself more fully. You make decisions that support your growth instead of repeating old mistakes. And over time, these decisions build a life that feels stable, fulfilling, and aligned with your true self. You stop living in survival mode and start living in creation mode, creating peace, creating growth, creating a future that reflects your inner evolution. This is why the calmness that comes from self-love is so powerful. It doesn't just make you feel better, it transforms your entire life from the inside out. A calm mind allows you to build healthier relationships, pursue better opportunities, and set stronger boundaries. It allows you to respond with wisdom instead of reaction. It allows you to live intentionally instead of emotionally. And when your mind becomes calm, your life naturally follows the same path. Self-love isn't just about feeling good, it is about regaining control of your inner world so the outer world can finally make sense. 7. The universe rearranges itself the moment you realize your worth. There comes a moment in everyone's life when something quietly shifts inside them, a moment that feels small from the outside, but changes everything from the inside. It is the moment you finally realize your worth, not because someone praised you, not because someone chose you, not because the world suddenly treated you better, but because, for the first time, you see yourself clearly. You understand what you bring to the world, what you deserve, and what you should no longer accept. And when that inner realization happens, the entire universe begins to rearrange itself around you. Most people spend years, even decades, living below their true value. They shrink themselves to fit into places that don't deserve them. They stay silent to avoid conflict. They tolerate mistreatment because they fear being alone. They allow their dreams to die slowly because they don't believe they are capable of something greater. They walk through life with their heads down, hoping someone, somewhere, will look at them and say, "You matter." But Buddhism teaches that waiting for the world to value you before you value yourself is the greatest trap you can fall into. The world does not decide your worth, you do. And the world only responds to the worth you claim, not the worth you hide. When you finally realize your worth, you stop settling for anything that contradicts it. You stop chasing people who don't reciprocate. You stop participating in relationships where your presence is treated like an option. You stop trying to prove yourself to those who don't even listen. You stop explaining your heart to people who lack the capacity to understand depth. You stop lowering your standards to keep low-energy people comfortable. You stop pretending to be someone smaller just to avoid intimidating those who never grew. This shift is not arrogance, it is awakening. You finally understand that love, respect, kindness, loyalty, consistency, and peace are not too much to ask for. They are basic requirements when you know your value. As your self-worth rises, so does your energy. You start carrying yourself differently, calmer, stronger, more grounded, more intentional. You speak differently because your voice is no longer shaky from insecurity. You walk differently because you are no longer tiptoeing around people's opinions. You think differently because you stop focusing on what might go wrong and start focusing on what you can create. You move with a quiet confidence that does not need validation. People feel this shift immediately, even if you don't say a word. Humans are sensitive to energy, even when they don't understand it consciously. When someone respects themselves deeply, others feel it and respond accordingly. People who once took you for granted begin to sense that you no longer depend on them emotionally. They feel that they cannot manipulate you anymore. They feel the loss of control they once had over your insecurity. Some people become uncomfortable because your growth exposes their stagnation. Others become distant because your healed energy highlights their unresolved wounds. And some disappear completely, not because you pushed them away, but because they simply cannot survive in the environment. This is where alignment begins. When you treat yourself with love, you stop attracting those who thrive on your insecurity. When you treat yourself with respect, you stop attracting those who benefit from your lack of boundaries. When you treat yourself with patience, you stop attracting those who rush your healing or demand emotional labor from you. When you treat yourself with honesty, you stop attracting liars and manipulators. Every act of self-love adjusts your frequency, and your frequency determines the type of relationships that can enter your life. People who match your healed energy will feel natural. People who match your old wounds will feel heavy. As your relationship with yourself grows stronger, you also become more emotionally independent. You no longer rely on someone else to tell you who you are. You no longer need constant reassurance. You no longer crumble under rejection. You no longer lose your identity when someone walks away. You understand that you can love deeply without abandoning yourself. You can care for others without sacrificing your mental peace. You can be kind without letting people take advantage of you. You can forgive without allowing repeated disrespect. This balance comes naturally when your inner relationship is healthy, because you no longer depend on external love to fill internal emptiness. Your inner relationship also shapes how you handle adversity. When you have a strong relationship with yourself, you stop breaking down every time life gets difficult. You stop feeling helpless. You stop believing that challenges are proof of your weakness. Instead, you speak to yourself with grounded clarity. This is difficult, but I can handle it. I am going to figure this out. I've survived everything so far. I'll survive this too. This moment will pass. My peace is still within me. This self-support becomes your emotional armor. The world may shake you, but it can't shatter you because your foundation is internal, not external. The storms become smaller because you are stronger. And the more you strengthen this inner relationship, the more the universe begins supporting you. You attract better people because your energy demands better. You attract better opportunities because your confidence is aligned with growth. You attract better experiences because your choices are made from clarity, not desperation. Life opens doors that once seemed locked because you now believe you are worthy of walking through them. You find peace in solitude because your own company is no longer heavy. You find joy in small things because your heart is no longer clouded by emotional chaos. You feel safe within yourself because you finally learned how to hold your own hand. In Buddhism, there is a profound teaching. How you love yourself is how you teach the world to love you. Your inner relationship becomes the blueprint, the silent guide for every relationship in your life. If your inner relationship is filled with fear, you attract fearful connections. If it is filled with neediness, you attract unstable relationships. But if it is filled with respect, boundaries, clarity, compassion and peace, you attract those who mirror that energy back to you. The universe doesn't send you what you ask for, it sends you who you are. And when who you are becomes aligned with love, wisdom, growth and self-respect, your entire life transforms. This is why loving yourself is not optional, it is essential. It is not selfish, it is spiritual responsibility. It is not arrogance, it is alignment. You become a lighthouse. Steady, bright, grounded, strong. You attract those who are meant for you, and you repel those who are not. Your life becomes healthier, quieter, more meaningful, and you finally understand a truth that changes everything. When you build a beautiful relationship with yourself, every relationship in your life begins to rise to that same level. You become the source, not the seeker. And from that moment on, life stops draining you and starts nourishing you because the universe aligns itself with the love you give yourself. 9. The moment you choose inner peace over external approval, your whole life begins to transform. One of the most exhausting things a human being can do is live their life for the approval of others. And yet, this is exactly what most people unknowingly do. From childhood, we learn to adjust ourselves so others will like us. We learn to hide parts of our personality so we won't be judged. We learn to suppress our emotions because expressing them might make someone uncomfortable. We learn to prioritize being accepted over being authentic. This habit becomes so deeply ingrained that even as adults, we shape our choices, our relationships, our opinions, and even our dreams based on how others might perceive us. Without realizing it, we start living as a reflection of other people's expectations rather than a reflection of our soul's truth. But Buddhism teaches that the human heart was never designed to live under the weight of external approval. The more you chase validation, the more lost you become. The more you try to please everyone, the more empty you feel. The more you tailor your personality to make others comfortable, the more disconnected you become from your true self. And the painful irony is this: the people whose approval you chase rarely understand you, rarely value you, and rarely have the clarity to guide their own lives. Yet you allow their opinions to control your destiny. External approval is a shifting foundation. People's opinions change, their preferences shift, their judgments evolve, and their expectations fluctuate. If your sense of worth depends on something so unstable, your inner world will always feel fragile. One disagreement will break you. One rejection will crush you. One moment of disapproval will send you spiraling into self-doubt. This instability is the natural result of relying on others to tell you who you should be. But something extraordinary happens the moment you choose inner peace over external approval. It is like stepping out of a storm into a quiet, warm room. The noise of the world becomes softer. The opinions of others lose their grip. Your mind stops spinning. Your emotions stop collapsing. Your heart begins to breathe again. This internal shift marks the beginning of true freedom, the kind of freedom no one can give you and no one can take away. Choosing inner peace means choosing yourself, not in a selfish way, but in a deeply spiritual way. It means recognizing that your mental health, emotional well-being, and inner harmony are more important than someone's temporary approval. It means understanding that your value doesn't depend on how many people agree with you. It means trusting your intuition more than the noise around you. It means prioritizing your soul over your image. And the moment you start doing this, your life changes at a level that cannot be reversed. You begin to respond differently. You stop rushing to explain yourself to people who misinterpret you. You stop chasing after those who give you only half effort. You stop forcing conversations with people who don't listen. You stop trying to justify your choices to those who don't even understand themselves. You stop seeking validation from people who are emotionally unavailable, insecure, or stuck in their own unresolved wounds. Instead, you learn to sit with your own truth. You learn to trust the quiet voice inside you that always knew the way. You learn to let go of the need to be liked by everyone. And the more you choose inner peace, the clearer your life becomes. You start recognizing who belongs in your life and who doesn't. You feel it in your body when someone disturbs your peace, even if their words seem harmless. You sense emotional imbalance in conversations that once felt normal. You detect manipulation in relationships you used to justify. You identify disrespect in interactions you used to overlook. This awareness isn't painful, it is liberating. You finally see what your soul has been trying to warn you about for years. Choosing inner peace also teaches you how to prioritize your emotional boundaries. You no longer tolerate people who drain you. You no longer open your heart to those who show inconsistency. You no longer let guilt force you into situations you don't want to be in. You stop allowing yourself to become the emotional sponge for other people's problems. You stop letting people use your kindness without giving anything in return. You stop participating in dynamics that break your spirit. Instead, you move with intention. You allow only those who uplift, support, and respect your peace to enter your inner world. This shift does not make your circle smaller, it makes it cleaner, healthier, and more aligned with your growth. The moment you choose inner peace, you also begin attracting opportunities that match your elevated state. You start noticing chances you missed before because you were too consumed with others' opinions. You take risks you once avoided because you no longer fear judgment. You follow paths you once ignored because you finally trust your inner wisdom. Your creativity expands, your confidence strengthens, your intuition sharpens. You become more aligned with your purpose because your mind is no longer clouded by the fear of rejection. People who once intimidated you suddenly seem less overwhelming. You no longer feel the need to prove your worth to them. You no longer allow rejection to define you. You no longer interpret silence as a sign of inadequacy. The power others once had over your emotions dissolves. You reclaim your inner space. You take ownership of your decisions. You stop living reactively and start living intentionally. Choosing inner peace also transforms your emotional reactions. You stop taking everything personally. You stop assuming the worst. You stop reacting out of insecurity. You stop creating drama in your mind. Instead, you learn to pause, breathe, observe, and respond with calm clarity. This emotional neutrality is not apathy, it is mastery. It is the ability to feel deeply without being controlled by your feelings. It is the ability to love openly without losing yourself. It is the ability to stay grounded even when others are chaotic. In Buddhism, the concept of non-attachment becomes the foundation for inner peace. This does not mean you stop caring, it means you stop clinging. You stop clinging to validation. You stop clinging to control. You stop clinging to outcomes. You stop clinging to people who have already let go of you. And when you release all this, your spirit becomes lighter. You gain clarity. You gain space. You gain the ability to move forward without dragging emotional baggage behind you. As your inner peace grows stronger, the universe begins aligning everything around you. People who disturb your peace slowly drift out of your life, not because you push them away, but because they cannot survive in a peaceful environment. Their chaos no longer blends with your harmony. Their inconsistency no longer matches your clarity. Their immaturity no longer aligns with your maturity. Meanwhile, people who value peace, respect, and authenticity begin entering your life with surprising ease. They feel natural, safe, and aligned with your energy. Opportunities you once prayed for start coming to you effortlessly, not because you begged for them, but because your energy now matches them. Your frequency becomes more grounded, more focused, more confident. You attract abundance because you no longer sabotage your own growth. You attract love because you no longer chase affection from the wrong places. You attract clarity because you no longer let noise drown your intuition. You attract respect because you radiate self-respect. This is the quiet power of inner peace. Choosing inner peace also changes how you see yourself. You stop judging your past. You stop criticizing your flaws. You stop hating yourself for mistakes you made when you were just trying to survive. You begin speaking to yourself gently, the way you would speak to a child or someone you love. You develop patience with your healing. You allow yourself to grow slowly, without pressure, without comparison. You learn to forgive yourself. You learn to accept your humanity. You learn to appreciate your journey. And as your relationship with yourself improves, the sensitivity you once felt toward other people's opinions fades away. You start living with intention. You start moving with grace. You start choosing your environment instead of letting it choose you. You start aligning your actions with your values. You start saying no without guilt. You start expressing your truth without fear. You start walking away from situations that break your peace, even if you once convinced yourself that you needed them. This is the birth of true power, the kind of power that doesn't need force, noise, or anger. It is soft, yet unshakable. It is quiet, yet undeniable. It is present, steady, alive. In the end, choosing inner peace over external approval is not just a decision, it is a spiritual rebirth. It transforms your mind, your heart, your relationships, your destiny. It removes what was never meant for you and opens the path to everything you were always worthy of. And once you experience life from this place of inner calm, you look back and wonder why you ever spent so much energy begging for approval that was never worth your soul's peace. This is the ultimate truth. You do not need the world to approve of you. You need only to approve of yourself. And when you do, everything in the universe rearranges itself to match the peace you carry inside. Scene. When you stop fighting yourself, life stops fighting you. There is a silent war happening inside most people. A war they rarely speak about, a war they barely understand, and a war that exhausts them far more than the struggles they face in the outside world. It is the war between who they truly are and who they believe they must be. It is the war between their inner truth and external expectations. It is the war between their desires and their fears. It is the war between their emotions and their judgments about those emotions. This internal conflict creates a tension that follows them everywhere. It affects their relationships, their decisions, their self-esteem, their dreams, and even their happiness. And yet very few understand that the greatest suffering in life is not caused by the world, it is caused by resisting ourselves. Buddhism teaches that suffering begins the moment we resist reality, but the deepest suffering begins when we resist ourselves. When you don't accept who you are, you start hiding parts of yourself. You suppress your emotions because you think they make you weak. You bury your dreams because you fear failure. You silence your voice because you worry about judgment. You pretend to be fine when you're breaking inside. You force yourself to be strong when your heart simply wants to rest. You push yourself to fit into molds designed by others. Every time you act against your true self, you create internal friction. And that friction eventually turns into emotional pain, confusion, anxiety, self-doubt, and a constant feeling that something is missing. Most people don't realize that they are fighting themselves every day. They fight their emotions instead of understanding them. They fight their intuition instead of trusting it. They fight their past instead of healing it. They fight their desires instead of honoring them. They fight their fears instead of holding compassion for them. They fight their own heart in the name of survival, image, or perfection. But the more you fight yourself, the more life appears to fight you. Your relationships feel heavy. Your decisions feel unclear. Your goals feel distant. Your mind feels restless. Your peace feels out of reach. But something extraordinary happens the moment you stop fighting yourself. It is not loud. It is not dramatic. It does not require force. It begins as a quiet surrender, a willingness to finally sit with yourself instead of running from yourself, a willingness to accept your flaws, your wounds, your emotions, your past, your imperfections, your softness, your strength, your humanity. This surrender is not weakness, it is liberation. When you stop fighting yourself, you begin to heal. And when you begin to heal, life stops feeling like a battle. The first transformation that happens is emotional clarity. You start understanding your emotions instead of judging them. You realize that your sadness wasn't a flaw, it was a message. Your anger wasn't a defect, it was a boundary being violated. Your fear wasn't a limitation, it was a request for safety. Your anxiety wasn't dysfunction, it was emotional overload. Every emotion you once tried to silence begins revealing its purpose. You learn that emotions are not enemies, they are teachers. This understanding softens your inner world. Your heart becomes a safer place to exist. The second transformation is acceptance. You stop comparing yourself to others. You stop wishing you were someone else. You stop criticizing yourself for not being perfect. Instead, you begin embracing your uniqueness. You begin appreciating your journey. You begin allowing yourself to grow at your own pace. You stop forcing timelines that don't belong to you. You realize that your life doesn't need to look like anyone else's in order to be meaningful. Acceptance brings peace, and peace brings clarity, the kind of clarity that cannot be taught from outside, only cultivated from within. The third transformation is alignment. When you stop fighting yourself, your decisions become aligned with your truth. You choose relationships that support your growth, not relationships that validate your wounds. You choose environments that nourish your mental state, not environments that constantly drain you. You choose opportunities that resonate with your purpose, not ones that trap you in fear. You choose honesty with yourself, instead of convenience with others. You begin trusting your intuition, because for the first time, your inner world is no longer filled with self-conflict. Your intuition becomes louder, clearer, and more reliable. The fourth transformation is emotional independence. When you make peace with yourself, you stop relying on others to define your worth. You stop seeking constant reassurance. You stop being emotionally reactive to others' opinions. You stop feeling destroyed by rejection. You stop allowing other people's moods to dictate your state. You become your own anchor. You become your own comfort. You become your own guide. And when your stability comes from within, no external chaos can break you. People can leave, misunderstand you, disagree with you, or even judge you, but none of it disrupts your inner peace, because your peace no longer depends on them. The fifth transformation is inner strength. When you stop fighting yourself, you stop wasting energy on self-doubt, self-criticism, self-hatred, and fear. That energy returns to you. You become stronger, focused, grounded. You begin handling challenges with clarity instead of panic. Problems that once overwhelmed you become manageable. Setbacks that once destroyed you become lessons instead of punishments. You start moving with calm confidence rather than anxious uncertainty. This strength doesn't come from force, it comes from alignment. The sixth transformation is the end of self-sabotage. When your inner world is conflicted, you unconsciously sabotage your happiness. You push away good people because you feel unworthy. You destroy healthy opportunities because you fear failure. You avoid peace because chaos feels familiar. You choose partners who reflect your wounds instead of your healing. But when you stop fighting yourself, you stop sabotaging the good in your life. You finally allow yourself to receive love, success, peace, stability, and support. You realize that you deserve good things not because you are perfect, but because you are human. The seventh transformation is gratitude. When you stop fighting yourself, you begin appreciating things you once took for granted: your resilience, your progress, your breath, your presence, your journey. You begin seeing beauty in ordinary moments. You become grateful for your emotions instead of ashamed of them. You become grateful for your past because it led you to your strength. You become grateful for your solitude because it taught you who you are. Gratitude shifts your entire vibration. It brings peace to your heart and lightness to your soul. And then comes the eighth transformation, the one so powerful that people around you will sense it without you speaking a word. Life stops fighting you too. The world around you begins to soften, opportunities open, relationships improve, conflicts decrease, blessings begin to arrive with less resistance. You begin flowing with life instead of struggling against it. This is the hidden truth. Life is always reflecting your internal state. When you are in conflict with yourself, life mirrors that conflict. When you are at peace within yourself, life mirrors that peace. When you are aligned within yourself, the universe aligns around you. This is why Buddhism teaches, the greatest battle you will ever fight is the battle against yourself. Win that, and you win all battles. The victory is not about dominance, it is about surrender. The surrender is not about weakness, it is about truth. And the truth is this: you were never meant to be at war with yourself. You were meant to be your own home, your own safe space, your own sanctuary. When you stop fighting yourself, you create space for healing. When you stop fighting yourself, you create space for transformation. When you stop fighting yourself, you create space for love. Love for yourself, love for others, love for life. And from that moment on, your journey becomes lighter, clearer, kinder, more meaningful. This is the ultimate lesson. Life becomes peaceful the moment you become peaceful with yourself. And once you reach that inner peace, no storm in the world can pull you back into a war you have already chosen to end. 11. Your life transforms the moment you stop needing others to validate your existence. One of the most powerful shifts you will ever experience in your life is the moment you stop depending on others to tell you who you are, what you are worth, and whether you are enough. Most people live with a fragile identity, one that depends heavily on how others perceive them. They feel confident only when someone praises them. They feel valuable only when others approve of them. They feel important only when others recognize them. Their entire emotional system is tied to the reactions, opinions, and attention of people outside of them. And because of this, their self-worth rises and falls like waves in the ocean, unstable, unpredictable, and constantly influenced by forces beyond their control. Buddhism teaches that the root of suffering is attachment, and one of the deepest forms of attachment is the attachment to validation. This attachment forces you to abandon yourself just to gain acceptance from others. You become addicted to being seen, liked, and approved. You lose your authenticity in the process. You silence your voice to avoid conflict. You soften your boundaries to avoid rejection. You shape your personality based on what others might think. You sacrifice your truth just to maintain an image. And in doing so, you betray yourself repeatedly without even realizing it. This dependency on validation is not a conscious choice. It is a survival response learned in childhood. When children grow up in environments where love is inconsistent or conditional, they learn that they must perform, please, or achieve in order to be valued. They internalize the belief that, I am only worthy when others say I am. This belief follows them into adulthood, shaping their relationships, their decisions, and their entire identity. They develop a sensitive inner world where a single comment, a single silence, a single rejection can shatter them. Their emotions become tied to external approval, like a puppet tied to strings. But something profound happens when you begin to break this dependency. It starts subtly, almost quietly. You begin noticing how often you look outside yourself to feel good. You notice how your mood changes depending on what people say. You notice how your confidence collapses whenever someone criticizes you. You notice how you shrink in the presence of people you seek validation from. You notice how your peace disappears whenever someone disapproves of your choices. And this awareness becomes the seed of transformation, because you cannot change what you are unaware of. The moment you begin questioning why you need others to validate your existence, you take back the power you once gave away. You begin asking yourself deeper questions. Why do I feel unworthy without approval? Why do I chase acceptance so desperately? Why do I feel incomplete on my own? Why do I believe that someone else's opinion defines my value? These questions guide you inward. They lead you to the hidden wounds you have been avoiding. They reveal the parts of you that still feel small, insecure, unsure, forgotten. They show you where your healing must begin. And once you begin healing, everything starts to shift. Healing from validation addiction requires immense courage. It means being willing to disappoint people. It means choosing your truth, even when others don't understand it. It means walking away from people who misuse your need for approval. It means learning to sit with discomfort instead of running to seek reassurance. It means valuing your own voice more than anyone else's. It means choosing your authenticity over your image. These choices are not easy, but they are liberating. As you strengthen your inner validation, something extraordinary unfolds. Your identity becomes stable. You no longer feel like a different person around different groups. You no longer switch your personality to fit in. You no longer hide your flaws to appear perfect. You become steady, grounded, whole. The approval of others becomes pleasant, not necessary. Criticism becomes feedback, not a threat. Rejection becomes redirection, not a reflection of your worth. Silence becomes space, not punishment. You begin standing in your truth with unshakable calm. When you stop needing others to validate your existence, your relationships evolve too. You no longer allow people to mistreat you just so you can feel accepted. You no longer tolerate emotional manipulation disguised as love. You no longer settle for half effort from people who only show up when it benefits them. You no longer chase emotionally unavailable individuals, hoping they will finally see your worth. Instead, you walk away from relationships that do not align with your growth. You walk away not with anger, but with clarity. You walk away because your inner world no longer depends on someone else's energy to feel complete. This inner shift also changes the way you make decisions. When you no longer seek validation, you begin choosing what feels right for you, not what looks right to others. You take risks without worrying about judgment. You pursue dreams even if no one supports them. You set boundaries even if some people dislike them. You speak your truth even if others disagree. You stop filtering your choices through the lens of, "What will they think?" and start asking, "What aligns with my peace?" This shift brings a level of freedom that cannot be described in words. It must be lived to be understood. As your validation dependence dissolves, your self-worth becomes unconditional. It is no longer tied to achievement, compliments, attention, popularity, status, or external success. It is grounded in your being, not your doing. You realize that your worth is inherent, something you were born with, something that does not fluctuate. You no longer seek approval, you seek alignment. You no longer crave praise, you crave authenticity. You no longer fear judgment, you embrace truth. This is where real power is born. When you stop needing validation, your presence changes. You walk differently with quiet confidence. You speak differently with grounded clarity. You love differently without clinging. You forgive differently without losing yourself. You connect differently without dependency. You express yourself differently without fear. Your energy becomes so steady that others feel it before you speak. People sense that you are not moved by praise, nor broken by criticism. You become emotionally independent. You become your own anchor. And then something magical happens. The universe starts aligning with this new version of you. You attract people who see your worth without needing to be told. You attract opportunities that match your confidence. You attract relationships built on mutual respect. You attract environments where authenticity is celebrated. You attract experiences that nourish your soul. You begin living a life that feels like it was designed specifically for you, because for the first time, you are showing up as your true self. In Buddhism, this state is known as returning home to the self. It means coming back to your inner truth after years of abandoning it. It means recognizing that you were always enough, even before anyone told you so. It means understanding that your existence does not require permission, applause, or approval. It means liberating yourself from the emotional chains of needing external validation to feel whole. You stop performing. You stop pretending. You stop chasing. You stop apologizing. Choosing yourself also brings emotional independence. You no longer rely on others to feel whole. You no longer allow rejection to dismantle your identity. You no longer collapse when someone pulls away. You no longer sacrifice your dignity for temporary affection. You become anchored within yourself. The storms still come, but you do not break the way you once did. You bend, you breathe, you observe, you respond, you learn, but you do not lose yourself. This inner independence transforms your relationships as well. You begin attracting people who value your energy because you value your own. You attract those who offer consistency instead of confusion. You attract people who communicate openly instead of leaving you in silence. You attract those who respect your boundaries instead of testing them. You attract people who bring peace instead of chaos, because choosing yourself changes your frequency, and your frequency determines the kind of relationships you allow into your life. Your life experiences shift too. You begin making decisions from clarity rather than fear. You stop accepting opportunities that drain you. You stop settling for jobs, environments, or friendships that do not match your future. You begin choosing what aligns with your peace, your purpose, your growth. You learn to trust the timing of your life instead of forcing outcomes. In Buddhism, choosing yourself is a spiritual act. It is not selfishness, it is self-alignment. It means returning to your center, your authenticity, your truth. It means understanding that your soul has been whispering to you all along, asking you to come home. The more you choose yourself, the more you begin experiencing synchronicities, the universe responding to your inner clarity. Opportunities arise when you least expect them. Solutions appear for problems you thought were impossible. People enter your life who feel like they were sent directly for your growth. You feel lighter, clearer, more connected, more alive. Life starts flowing again because you stopped resisting your own soul's direction. Here's the deepest truth of this lesson. Life does not punish you for loving others too much. It punishes you for abandoning yourself. And life does not reward you for being perfect. It rewards you for choosing yourself. This is the turning point where everything changes. You become kinder without becoming a people pleaser. You become loving without becoming self-sacrificial. You become strong without becoming cold. You become peaceful without becoming passive. You become whole. And once you become whole, you no longer look for completeness in others. You no longer beg for love, attention, validation, or approval. You attract them naturally because you have become aligned with your truth. The world begins to feel less like a battlefield and more like a path. Your relationships begin to feel less like survival and more like connection. Your mind begins to feel less like noise and more like wisdom. Your heart begins to feel less like a burden and more like a guide. This is the moment your true life begins, the life that unfolds when you finally choose yourself. If there is one truth that has echoed through every lesson, one truth that sits at the center of all healing, transformation, and spiritual awakening, it is this: your entire life changes the moment you come home to yourself. Everything you have been searching for, love, peace, clarity, respect, alignment, stability, was never outside of you. It was always waiting inside you, buried beneath years of self-doubt, fear, wounds, conditioning, and emotional chaos. The world did not take these things from you. You simply lost access to them when you lost connection to your own soul. Every lesson in this journey has led you back to one realization: your outer world is a mirror of your inner world. When you didn't love yourself, you attracted people who confirmed your lack of worth. When you didn't trust yourself, you attracted chaos that confused you even more. When you abandoned yourself, you found yourself in situations where others abandoned you too. When you lived in fear, the world responded with reasons to stay afraid. When you clung to others for validation, life reflected that emptiness by giving you relationships that drained rather than nourished you. Nothing changed outside, you changed inside. Your energy changed. Your awareness changed. Your choices changed. Your boundaries changed. Your self-worth changed. Your understanding of love changed. And when the internal shifts occur, the external world rearranges itself in ways that feel almost mystical. The wrong people fall away naturally, without force. The right people arrive effortlessly, without chasing. Old patterns dissolve because your new self no longer resonates with them. Your path becomes clearer because your mind is no longer clouded by self-conflict. Your heart becomes lighter because you are no longer carrying the weight of pretending, pleasing, denying, or suppressing your truth. You finally understand that peace is not something you find, it is something you return to. It exists under the noise, under the wounds, under the stories you have been told about who you should be. The more you peel back those layers, the more you begin to recognize yourself again, not the self shaped by trauma, expectations, fear, or ego, but the self that is whole, present, aware, compassionate, and aligned. This entire journey, every lesson has been about remembering that version of you. You learned that your energy creates your reality. You learned that you attract what you believe you deserve. You learned that walking away is sometimes the greatest act of self-love. You learned that peace begins where self-abandonment ends. You learned that clarity comes from calmness, not chaos. You learned that healing breaks the loops you once called fate. You learned that the universe responds to your inner vibration, not your outer effort. You learned that choosing yourself is not selfish, it is your first spiritual duty. You learned that emotional independence is the foundation of inner strength. You learned that your worth does not require validation, approval, or permission. You learned that life becomes gentle when you become gentle with yourself. And most importantly, you learned that your entire destiny changes when you start treating yourself the way you wish others would treat you. Because the truth is simple but transformative. You are the source of everything you have been seeking. When you love yourself, love finds you with ease. When you respect yourself, respect becomes natural. When you value yourself, life sends you people who value you too. When you trust yourself, the path becomes clearer. When you choose peace within, the world reflects peace back to you. When you stop fighting yourself, the universe stops fighting you. Everything begins and ends with you, your energy, your decisions, your alignment, your boundaries, your self-awareness, your healing, your presence. Your journey from lesson 1 to lesson 12 has not been a journey outward, it has been a journey inward. And this conclusion is not an ending, it is a beginning, the beginning of a life where you no longer abandon your own soul. The beginning of a life where you no longer apologize for choosing yourself. The beginning of a life where you no longer settle for anything that threatens your peace. The beginning of a life where you finally understand the sacred truth. The world cannot give you what you refuse to give yourself. So, let this be your final realization. You are not waiting for life to change. Life is waiting for you to return to yourself fully, honestly, courageously. And the moment you do, everything you once chased begins to move toward you. This is the path. This is the awakening. This is the power of loving yourself. This is the moment your real life begins.